how I see the world today. So, being in quarantine, I've been playing a lot of strategy games and RPG games, much like Dungeons and Dragons, where the gameplay is a mix of player choices as well as a chance based system depending on the roll of the dice. So, like the professor said, we are all products of our culture, and from the moment we pop out of the uterus, we are learning that culture. However, since we cannot control which uterus we pop out of, it is largely based on chance. So my presentation is called that, A World of Chance and Choice. Now the choice aspect is going to be more of the subcultures that we choose later on in life, like whether or not we pursue higher education, what job industry we go into, whether or not we decide to move, those types of subcultures. But for now, the game focuses on the chance-based aspect of our culture. Now, for the purpose of the game, I have highly simplified the cultures, and this is because, in truth, I know very little about most cultures. So, I think it would take years of study in order to accurately represent them in the game. But one of the tools of the trade is keep it simple, so I did that for this game. And I have chosen 6 cultures here. This is going to be Anglo, Mid-East, Asia Major, African, Latinx, and India. So, for an example, I am Anglo, which is analytical type thinking, taken straight from Chapter 9, and individualistic. This faction occupies Western Europe as well as most of North America and Oceania. This faction's attributes are holistic, intelligent, and industrious. Hostile, intelligent, and industrious. I chose hostile because in class we talked about how heterogeneous cultures are a little bit more hostile. I chose intelligence because in class we talked about how prenatal care is vastly superior here and compared to other parts of the world, and that affects how fast our synapses fire in the brain. I also chose industrious because the book talks about how individualistic cultures have an advantage as far as being creative, and it helps develop a nation and community. That was chapter 12, I believe. So, I also have, for some of the rules here, religions. Chapter 12 talks about how there's been a lot more hostility between religions, so I accurately represented that here. There is a 50-50 chance of experiencing religious aversion upon meeting a member of another religion. Again, I simplified the religions that we have here. There is only Christianity, Judaism, Islam, polytheist, and atheism. Okay, now to gameplay. The first and second role will determine which part of the world you're going to be born into. Again, the factions here. Since half of the population is in India and China, you have a 50% chance of being there. The third role is going to be religion, and that's going to be based on the factions here. For instance, for Anglos, there is more roles, more chances to be Christian as compared to Islam or atheist. The fourth role is going to be gender. That's going to be 50-50 chance there. I know that there are a little bit more men than women in the world, but not enough to change the gameplay on that. Chapter 6 talks about how across most cultures, the females do rate a little bit higher on relatedness. So I added that in there in the gameplay as well. So for instance, if I was going to play this game and roll the dice here, I would land an odd number followed by 1. And since I was raised Christian, I would land on either 1, 2, 4, or 6. And since I am male, I would land on anything evens. And that's me. But if you were to do it completely based on chance, like I will do now, 5. So odds roll again for Anglo, Mid-East, African, and Latinx. So I'll roll again. 2. 2 is going to be the Mid-East. So now I'm part of the Middle East faction, which is holistic thinking and collectivistic. This faction occupies Asia Minor and Eastern Europe, parts of Eastern Europe, as well as holding provinces in Northern Africa. This faction's attributes are hostile, tribal, and fever. I chose those traits for the Mideast because we discussed how harsher environments, people are a little bit more hostile there. Mideast is a little bit of a harsher environment. I also chose Fever, just increase zeal. That's just for the gameplay. There's no real reason for that. And I chose Tribal because they are a collectivistic culture, and I thought it just was good to represent it that way. Again, oversimplifying it for the purpose of the game. So now the third role is going to be religion, and that's going to be either Islam or Judaism, because those are the main religions within that culture. And that is 4, which means I am Islam, and now the gender is going to be even, so males. Anyways, that is how I view the world based on chance. Now, the gameplay would consist of scenarios where I interact with a member of this other culture, and because of ethnocentrism, there is also a 50-50 chance that I would feel a cultural aversion to this person, this fake Middle Eastern Islam male, simply because ethnocentrism is where one feels that one's culture is superior to another's. Anyways, yeah, so this is my presentation. Thank you.